can't draw breath anymore.
Well, great. Man, I wish I should have hit record earlier.
No, I can perform. There's no problem.
But this is I'm super excited about this. And so yeah, figure. Oh, hold on. I have the wrong doc up. 1 second. Okay. Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with the supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Subscribe to the $6 tier of our Patreon to enjoy original premium content like this, Breaking Bread, where we bring on a guest to talk about our opponent from that Manchester City will be playing. And then chopping it up. That is where we have interviews with most dope people in the soccer content community. Most notably, we had an episode with ESPN and FC25 commentator Derek Ray, and have a bunch of fantastic episodes that will be match previews for here, Leyton Orient. City women's match against Leicester City women coming up as well. $6 a month gets you 20 plus hours of content. I think that's a pretty good value. Just omit your Starbucks, just 1 day a week. And there you go. You can support an independent podcast. But here to be talking about our opponent in the FA Cup this weekend, this has been really exciting because I've been able to, when we played Salford, brought in One Up Front podcast. That was really nice to be able to connect and get to know them on a better level, especially because a lot of these times this kind of get swept under the rug, and we don't really build the community further. And I was like, let's change that in 2025. So Salford City, I mean, we're also getting wonderful draws like this. This is what I love. Like, who wants to get all these teams that we play all the time anymore? Like, I wanted to get these Salfords. I wanted to get Leyton Orient. And here we are to help us learn all about LOFC. I'm not sure if that's even what you guys call it, but it looks like it. And shout out to Paul of Orient Outlook Podcast. Shady Gang, show some love.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we're called Orient, or I mean, LOFC is the hashtag that you can use on social media to find any content relating to Orient. But yeah, we support the Orient, Leyton Orient. We're not Leyton. It's more the Orient or Leyton Orient if you're going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Almost like most people just call Brighton instead of Brighton and Hove Albion, or just kind of shorten the thing out.
Absolutely,
it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course. Let's start here with, how did you choose? Because I mean, a lot of people that we have on, even if especially if they're over in England, I asked them, they can support the cities, the Tottenhams, the Brentfords, or something like that, but they also have another team in the pyramid that they support. So I'd assume Orient, they take most of your attention if you have a podcast about them. So how did you end up choosing Orient as your football club?
So yeah, great question. So I'm based in the east of London. So London's obviously a massive place with lots of different football teams. Football over here in the UK is very tribal. Once you find your team, you don't really swap or change it. People have Premier League teams as their first choice and have soft spots for perhaps local teams. And a lot of Londoners' second favourite club is typically Leyton Orient. And that's largely, I think, in part because the demographic of people that grew up in and around the East End were perhaps West Ham fans or Tottenham fans or whatnot. And obviously their trajectory is very different to ours. They've gone upwards and we've kind of plateaued in the lower levels of the English football pyramid. But I used to follow Tottenham as a child, but then my dad took me to, I was pestering him. Lots of my friends at school supported Tottenham and Arsenal. and I was pestering him to take me to a football game. And the first game he ever took me to was Leyton Orient, because that's just 20 minutes down the road from where we live. It's cheaper than the Premier League sides, or Division 1 as it was at the time. And yeah, I went, I loved it, could smell the grass, see the players, quite close up. And then a boxing promoter, a snooker promoter at the time called Barry Hearn, purchased the club from the previous owner, who had run into some real big financial issues. And what Barry did very cleverly was gave season ticket prices for children under 16 at £10. So when I was sort of 12, 13, Leyton only being just down the road, for £10 a season, me and two of my friends used to go to every home game. And we just got hooked from there. We went home and away for a couple of seasons as well, and it was just a wonderful thing to do with all these Orient fans on a Saturday afternoon. That's where you'd find us. We loved it. It was brilliant. It was good camaraderie, good bonding, and we got to meet loads of people and make loads of friends off the back of it. So yeah, it was great. And Barry hooked us with these £10 season tickets.
Yes,
And
yes.
I have a son now, and he comes with me. So it's that kind of, it's ingrained in us now. And I don't follow a Premier League side. I don't support another club. Leyton Orient is my one and only.
I love that. And that's brilliant from that guy, because he just locked in a whole generation of
Exactly right.
Orient fans. And like you're continuing that with your kid, which is always great. And what you hear normally, where it's just like, this is the team my family is rooted for, and they basically told me if I wanted to choose another team, then I would have to find my way there.
And pay for it yourself as well.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is where most people in this, so where I am in East London, sort of Essex border, a lot of people will support West Ham or Tottenham or Arsenal, so or Liverpool or Man United, or a few Man Cities or whatever, the Glory Hunters, Liverpools and whatnot. So when you say that you support Leyton Orient, it's a conversation starter, because there's no rivalry, there's no sort of head butting. I didn't beat you 5-1 on the weekend, or lose 3-0 to you on the weekend, or whatever. There's none of that. It's you support. It's a very different conversation. People's guards drop straight away. Oh, okay, you're a bit of a safe space to have a conversation with.
Yeah. Even here in America, I tell this story often. I was in Chicago for an MLS game, but I was wearing my City shirt. And then I saw someone in an Everton shirt, and I walk up to him and I go, "Nice kick," because it was also like an older shirt too. And they went to go like, "Oh, hey," and then they saw that my shirt said City, and then they just walked right past me.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just like there's no need for you to be that smug over here as an American. Like, bro, it's not
Cool.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I laughed though. I had a legit good laugh. I joke on our pod all the time that we need to embrace being seen as the evil sky blue empire, whether we believe it to be true or not. Sometimes you just gotta take being the bad guy, whether again you think you should be or are the bad guy.
Yeah, indeed.
What else what is something that you love about Orient? Obviously, we said before going live that the club almost went into administration, and the tough times. So to struggle through, to persevere through all that, it has to go deeper than cheap season tickets when you're a kid, right?
1,000,000%. I think one of the things that's most endearing about the club is the fans. And everybody's very friendly, very welcoming. There's no aggravation, there's no animosity, there's no I'm better than you because I went to a couple of games more than you, or I go to more away games than you. There's none of that arrogance to it. We're a smaller club. We've often had the moniker of being called Little Leyton Orient, because we've had this small club mentality, that's kind of siege mentality, where we punch a little bit above our weight from a footballing standpoint, and from perhaps a publicity standpoint, particularly over the last few years, when Harry Kane, the England captain, was the sponsor of our front of shirt, and he partnered with charities and gave the charities the space on each of our 3 kits, our home, away, and third kit. So from an attention perspective, we've often punched well above our weight, and I think fundamentally as well, it's always been quite affordable to come to Orient for the most part. We are outgrowing our home ground at the moment, and the club are looking at alternative options for us. So things are going to change soon. Whether we're going to like them or not is a different story. But I think 11 years ago we were second in the league that we're in now, in League One, and we were getting gates of about 5,000 on average. We're now getting gates of about 8,500 people, so it's significantly increased. I think in part, a large part of that is down to the fact that in 2014, just after we missed out, just a bit of a quick history tour here as to
Love it.
For context, in 2014, 13-14 season, we missed out on going up into the championship through a penalty shootout in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a sore subject. And then we had a new owner, and that new owner tried to pick the team, went out to buy the players, created complete and utter disharmony, was a complete dictator, had no idea about football, and was just a bit of a spoilt brat, to be honest. And he was about 50 odd years old at the time anyway. So he was just one of these kind of rich guys. We're a plaything and everyone does what he says, and that's how his life has been. But that doesn't work in football. He's completely the wrong kind of individual to come into our club and or to own a football club. Should have been nowhere near it. So we nearly went out of business. We were relegated out of the Football League for the first time in our history. And we were then saved by our current ownership, who are American. However, the chairman, Nigel Travis, I say this to you because you'll probably know Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin' Brands, Baskin Robbins. He was the chairman of that business, and he'd made, he's a local boy to Leyton here in London, but he'd done very well for himself over in the US. And he got introduced to another investor, and collectively as a consortium, they fantastically put up with all the nonsense that this bad owner was giving them, and persevered and saved the club, rescued the club, and got us back up and running, and have got all the foundations in place, and have set us off really strongly for future growth and development. So we're very lucky. So I think what that's done is it's galvanized a supporter base that perhaps was a little bit sleepy or a bit dormant, that perhaps watched out for the results, but actually now, blimey, Leyton Orient were nearly not around. Let's get down there. How much is a season ticket? Oh, it's very, very affordable. We'll go and watch that, because there's different tiered pricing for different stands. So it's galvanized a lot of people that perhaps weren't as active in coming to support the club, buying shirts, coming to games, doing hospitality, buying mascot packages, whatever that may be.
I love that. That's a great story. And just from a city perspective, Orient, they're in Football League One. That's also with Stockport. And as a city fan, Stockport, whenever I see them, I'm like, yeah. But as an American, I feel like the messy part of me has to ask of your thoughts on Wrexham, because they are third in Football League One. And the way that they have moved up is through lots of, money, investment, fame, and fortune. And, some people feel very strongly about it. Some people are just like, it is what it is. I haven't really paid them any attention at all. I mean, there's tons of people who do. So that's how I feel about things like that. But as someone who, you're Orient is you have a much closer, especially with the struggles financially that the club has had. What are your thoughts on a team like Wrexham?
So I've watched all of Welcome to Wrexham. I've watched it, thoroughly enjoyed it. What you've got there are two people who have got the right attitude about what to do with a football club.
Good.
They're the money people. They're not the football people. So what they went out and did was they appointed people who knew football. They have people in prominent positions in that football club who know how to run a football club. They've got a manager who's very, very well experienced. Previously, got promotions on his CV. He's no fool Phil Parkinson is a very good manager, knows the game inside and out. They appointed well, and fundamentally they backed him. Now, that's cost a lot. Does it seem fair that someone can just go out? I mean, they're spending millions on, but they spent £2 million on a striker in this transfer window that's just closed from Reading. They pay out strong money. Jay Rodriguez from Burnley wouldn't have been cheap either, on a weekly wage of 10, 20 grand a week, whatever he's earning. You know, their wage bill is astronomical. They've lost effectively 20 plus million pounds. But they've gone from being 11 years in non-league to breathing distance, spitting distance of being in the Championship, in the second tier of English football, buying players that are next level ready. They're not buying League One ready players. They're already in League One. They're buying the next level of player, so that when they, if or when they go into the Championship, there's not such a big overhaul, and they're already there with a group of established players who know how to play the Phil Parkinson brand of football. So I have nothing but admiration. They've galvanised the community. They're selling out Wrexham. You know, it wasn't so long ago that they weren't getting crowds of more than a few thousand, but now they're, I believe, selling out and packing out their stadium to the extent that